Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Christmas Day today, December 26, 2020, and I thought I've been pretty poor in updating my YouTube, so we'll just go through all the cars and give a bit of a wrap up of the year. So 2020, year of the coronavirus. Actually stepped out of my senior designer role in January, thinking that I was going to have all of February off and become a lead designer for another engineering consultancy in Brisbane, but coronavirus put an end to that. And as you guys have probably seen that on my social media pages, or RB Factory on YouTube and Instagram, that I've just been building parts all year. So that's actually worked out really well. It's a bit of a life-changing experience for me. This is the 4th year that I've run RB Factory, and how do you say it? It had the potential to be a full-time job, but because I always had a full-time job, you would never take the leap or the risk at it. But because of how things played out this year, I was pretty much left with nothing else to do, so we went full-time RB Factory, and it's been pretty life-changing. Lots of life-work balance instead of work-life balance like the big companies peddle. But anyway, so that's pretty much what happened to me. So what we've done this year is, all this rack's new. So I've actually sold my other house. So for a while I had 2 houses, and that's why you still haven't seen all the cars, because I've still got cars stored other places. But hopefully I'll bring them home next year and we can start working on them. But because of all this stuff that I had to pull out of the other house, because the other house has a shed too, so we've had to put some more rack in, so another 3.5 meters. And then I built this tire rack, holds 24 rims. And then I've got to build another one that goes in here to hold another 24. And then I've built this tire rack here, which has 24. They're my leftovers, so I've got a few there. And then I've got a few more sitting down here, which I all want to put away, put them in a rack, and then build a wall through the back here with sliding doors to keep sort of life and cars separate. But so that's happened. And obviously I've had, other than drift wheels, I've had a lot of body kits. So I've had to build this rack up the top here, just out of angle line, and some leftover chicken mesh from when I moved my chickens over here. So I get 6 full body kits stored on top of my 32 sedan. So we got some 31 stuff. This is an old Urus wide body S13 kit, 33 sedan kit, Urus kit, and then some. I used to have a Commodore once upon a time, don't judge me too harshly, because I've still actually got another Commodore. So this is a VT HSV kit. This R32 Urus, and the red one is a Urus C33 Laurel kit that I was going to put on my R31 sedan, but I'm not sure about it anymore. It's a bit too curved for the box, but other than that, spare panels. Can't be a drifter without spare panels, so I built this rack here too, and this one just pretty much stores all my doors and boots, and I can get 3 engines on engine stands when I clean it all up underneath it, because engines are pretty much consumable in drifting. So that, and then over here, because obviously went full time with RB Factory, needed a bit better setup, so built myself a big jig table and whatnot. So that's worked out pretty good. It's actually been really good having a big table, because production runs have been getting bigger and whatnot. So this is actually one of my prototypes from almost 2 years now since I built this. Get it back far enough on my Instagram, you'll probably see it. But bolt-in R31 caster bracket, which is narrowed down to fit an S13 caster rod in it. So just got to tweak this a bit. You can see that no sway bar mount here. Other than that, it's a goer. Just the other one's opposite hand, and I was going to probably fill this hole up so I can run a power brace through them. I don't know, sell them like that. And then that's the turbo manifold up 31. Down here hasn't changed too much, still the same old mess. But then car wise, we've done a bit. So pretty much cracked the shits with all my tools too now. So Everything's on casters, everything's on a stand, everything's at a nice height to work on. So when you're building stuff every day, it becomes painful to do things that are not at the right height and whatnot. So streamlined all that. 32 wise, done very little on the 32. So what we have done, as you've probably seen, done these fire extinguisher mounts that bolt to the front of the seat. So this is the driver's side one, and this is the passenger side one. So these fit R32 and R33 coupes and sedans. Will not fit GTS4 or GTR. So I think I've still got one in the 32 sedan. So oh yeah, still got one in here. Mind the mess, but you can see it bolts to the front of the seat rail in the front mounts and fits a fire extinguisher down there nice and easy, and then you just bolt it so it clips at the front. You can pop it out and away you go. It's down low enough so with the factory seat it'll slide over the top of it, no dramas. I haven't tested it on a bucket seat, but I've got a guy that's got one local. He's got brides in his car and he hasn't told me that it doesn't fit, so we can assume that it fits. And that's pretty much all that's happened to this. Got a keen eye, you probably recognise this thing. This is my 2 series of R230 swap. So made a big mistake with this. It's not actually a 33 cradle. It's actually a 32 GTS4 cradle. So it didn't actually bolt in my 33. So what we're going to do is we're going to fit it to my 32 sedan. So I'll finish this series off. I've got pretty much everything for it now. So up here we got these are Z32 axles with the 31 splines, and these ones here are 350Z axles with the 28 splines. So we can pretty much unbolt all the arms and everything off this, the brakes and everything, fit them to this cradle with an R230 and the 350Z axles, and then bang it all in the car. Just got to do cradle risers and all that, clean it all up, give it a coat of paint. So we'll do that in episode 3 of the series. And then the 33, we've done a little bit of work but not much. Well, actually I did a fair bit of work because you've probably seen the Mazda there. So the Mazda had to come home, which meant this thing had to come off axle stands. So engine bay wise, you've probably seen the dump pipe and all the lock kit and everything being fitted. But we've gone in, bent up a 32mm pipe for the top radiator hose, and the bottom one is two 32mm 45 degrees cut and welded together at 90 degrees with two 90-degree elbows. That's pretty much what's changed in the engine bay. And then in the back, due to COVID, all the JDM parts just seem to come out as extortion. So what I've gone and done is it's currently got a C34 Stagio rear end in it. So it's got coilovers in it. It's a high cast cradle. Actually no, it's a 34 GTT cradle with Stagio arms, diff axles, brakes. So it's a high cast cradle with non-high cast stuff. So I've got to build some stuff in it, and I'm going to build all the arms, fit the dual caliper kit, and we'll do it properly. So I'll do a video series on it. Build all the adjustable arms, and then do the risers and everything, solid diff mounts, and do all that. So pretty much that's all that's happened to this. But I'll catch it up in separate videos. And then I've only used this for a prototype. So I've been getting a lot of requests for, see if you can see this without banging the mic on stuff. So this, I don't know if you can see it, this accelerator pedal here is an LS11. So I've actually got a bracket that I'll release early next year to fit LS1 pedals to your Skylines and stuff, and I've raised it up so it's level with the brake. With the Barra ones, I made them so that when they're wide open throttle they hit the stop, but some people have said that they don't really like that, so I've raised it up on the LS1 ones to bring them up. So that'll be new. Most of the work, I guess, this year, when I've had spare time, has happened on this thing. So if you follow me on social media, you'll probably see that we've built this shifter boot adapter. So that's the hydro mount. You see the hydro bolted in here, and then this is an S13 boot, and it's got an adapter in here, and this is the boot retaining ring, so it's just sandwiching the boot to this adapter, which is bolted through the hydro into the factory tunnel. So the actual, other than having to have a cutout for the hydro, the center console fits back in. I just haven't put it back in because I've got to replace this line when I do my dual wheelboard setup. So you'll be seeing some more videos of this thing. And there's the RV gang handle, so nice height. So they're on the store as well if you're chasing them. And then probably the most work has happened in here. So built a new strut brace. So I've got a big 75mm wide dimple die one, and then because of the throttle body and all this stuff, it's had to be set back. So the only real hindrance with this strut brace, as you can see, it sits over the brake master. In case you want to fill it up, you'll have to use a funnel in the future. But other than that, it's very different. It fits. So even with the bonnet struts, it fits. So if you're after bonnet struts, hit up Matt, Angry Industries. He'll sort you out them. They're the best things on the planet, like not having a stay. I still got a stay, but not having a stay when you just work on the car. Godsend, mate. So that's new. I did a story on my Instagram and Facebook. I think I got like 21 inquiries about it. So they'll be going ahead next year. The cross member in this car is brand new. So I used to have a 15mm rack forward. If you go back in my channel, you'll see them. So this new one is 45mm rack forward. So it's a massive cut and shut job. So you can probably see around the new plate lower control arms, plate curved caster rods, so it has the modified caster rod brackets in it. And then what I actually did with this, just bear with me for a second. So I've actually narrowed where the lower control arm point goes. So I've taken 20mm out of that. So this whole back has been moved forward, which has moved the rack forward 20mm. And then I've turned the bolt around, because usually the lower control arm bolt, the nut's on this side, because it has that little lock that sits on this side. This little doobie thing, that usually sits here, and the projection of the thread sticks out here and cuts the boot. So I've turned the bolt around, and I've just welded a nut on this side, and we're just using a button head bolt. So it sits inside this lip, so the rack, when I put the boot on it and the rack passes through on lock to lock, I won't be cutting the boot. And then I've moved the rack forward 25mm as well, to get that without the restraint of having the boot being cut on the bolt projection. You can move the rack forward a lot further. So, and then the knuckles are the same, still runs 32 4-piston front, still got these blown up NBUs in it. I still have the 75mm longer R31 to 4-piston front conversion brake line. So it's all in. The other thing is I built my own bump steer spacer. So this is some offcut of R31 upper trailing arm material. That M14x2 thread on this side, 5/8 UNF on this side, which is the same rod ends that I use on the upper trailing arms. Built my own spacers, bit of a stack spacer. These pins, I actually went out and bought a cheap Chinese bump steer kit just to get the bolts out of it. On eBay, I think I found an Australian seller. They were selling them for like $48 delivered. So I thought, instead of making pins, just buy that, take the pins out of it, and then I'll remake everything else. They come with these little blue anodized things that cross thread going onto the threads, and then little, I don't know, they must make the rod ends for it because it's not a standard size. So pretty much remade it all, and these are standard. Buy these in Brisbane, and I think they're like $10 each or something. So makes it very easy for spares. And these are the same rod ends that I run in the back as well for the upper trailing arms. So it's very easy for spares in case you bend one. And then the lock's a bit less than what it usually is. You can see I've got the plate built out to stop. So at the moment it's a bit less than what it usually is, but I want to fine tune it later. So I'll grind this down as I need to so it hits the stop and has the lock, but now it goes lock to lock without getting stuck, because you've probably seen before at over centers. So it goes all the way out to here and it comes back, so you can turn it back on the steering wheel now. So even with the plate ground down, so I've probably still got another 15mm of rack travel, so if I grind the gusset down, it'll come around further, and then obviously it'll push around further when I grind the other side down too. The only catch with doing the 45mm rack forward is that I've had to rotate the rack back. So the biggest problem I found with it is, I don't know if you can see down here this shiny silver thing, fabricated my own solid steering shaft spacer. I don't know, it's there somewhere. No, it's that one there, in there. So what I found is that I had to lay the rack back like another 5 degrees. This bottom knuckle here was binding when it was turning, so I've had to fabricate my own strap to be able to hold the rack when it's rotated back. If I kept using the factory strap, what it was trying to do is trying to stand the rack back up because of its shape, and then yeah, it would keep binding, but yeah, I had to cut and shut, weld a bit in and whatnot, just to get it to the point where you could clamp it down and it would hold the rack rotated in. So the driver's side is the only side with the locator on it, and the passenger side just clamps over the shaft or the outer body, and it's just a round bush, so it doesn't do anything really for rotation. It only does it for holding it in position. So yeah, there's a few bits and pieces going on in this thing, and then probably seen in my last video, bring this thing home. So been sitting in the other house for 12 years, and then now it's finally here. So we got it here. I haven't started anything on it yet. I have bought a new grill for it, because I probably didn't mention it in the other video. When I went carbureted to EFI, I went from a 48 IDA to a 50mm Microtech IDA style throttle body. And back in the day I went and sold I had an ad on Trading Post back in the day. That's how old, well, the car's been sitting for 12 years, so back on Trading Post back in the day. And I think someone rang up, got the address, never turned up to look at the carb, but they pulled the headlight surrounds and grill out of it. So I've managed to pick up some new headlight surrounds. Well, not new, old, but new for this car. Headlight surrounds, and I've got a brand new reproduction grill coming. So that'll fix all that back up, so it'll be back complete again. And then I haven't tested the motor to see if it rotates, but it'd probably go back to being non-turbo. I think with the mod plates today, you won't mod plate a turbo engine in this, because I think it's like 800 kilos, so it'll be well too light. I suppose the only other thing that we didn't look at last time was in the boot. So, you know, when I was 18, I did this boot thing. It's just MDF, got to go old Bunnings handle, but then it's got this like massive fuel surge tank, and then it runs I don't know what type of pump that is, but this low volume pump, from memory it's really loud, just to sit there. I don't know whether because it's bolted to this panel and not bolted to something else, whether it just rattles the car, but yeah, the fuel definitely smells like it's old. It's got that really musky smell to it. And then I suppose what we need to do is build a new fuel tank, because these little Mazda ones don't get you too far. I think they're like 32 or 38 litres from memory, so probably build one with like double the capacity of that, and with a built-in surge tank and whatnot. We can just do the dash fittings out the end and straight into the fuel line underneath the car. So other than that, It's been here. It's been a welcome addition to being here. It's good to see it every day again. I probably, other than moving it, I probably hadn't seen it for a while. So, yeah. I've been looking for a rotor, but they just don't come very cheap. I think a recode 13B, like RX4 type 13B now, is like $8,000. So, and they just go up from there. So, I always had a dream of putting a 20B in it, but I probably don't have a spare 20 grand to secure a motor and then do another gearbox conversion. But then I guess the only other thing that's going on is that I've been working on these. So it's very hard for 31s to find non-bent power steering lines. So been working with a braided line supplier on manufacturing new ones. So I've got the lengths down. We've just got to find the right fittings. So these fittings, this is actually an S13 rack, but I don't have a spare 31 rack to show you. But the problem is that I've got, and the reason why I haven't released it this year, is these fittings that you buy off the shelf. They're AN4 or JIC4 to M12 by 1, but they're, I don't know if you can see it, they're countersunk, whereas which will suit like HR31 and R32, R33, but with the R31s, because they're Osdell and pre-90s, they need to have the proud bit, I don't know if it's focusing, the proud bit like this, so it screws in and seals in the seat, instead of having like a male seat and a female on the fitting. In a 31, the female's in the rack, and we need a male type fitting on the fitting, male type end, sorry, on the fitting, to screw it in and seal. So been searching around and ringing suppliers for like on and off for like 2 months. I'm trying not to get my own CNC'd, because that will just like blow out the kit, because buying these off Break Equip, or even these are steel, we could go aluminium and go Aeroflow or something like that. They'd be like $8 each. But if I got them CNC'd, I'd probably have to do them in stainless steel, and you probably wouldn't get change out of like $15 each or something. Buying in quantities. The problem will be, since coronavirus and quarantine on ports and everything like that, the hourly rate of CNCing I've noticed this year is just like doubled, but the lead time's just like quadrupled. So my spaces for my upper trailing arms, usually I put an order in Monday, and then I get notification that they've been shipped on Friday. Usually they only take a week. I've shopped around this year, just because I've used my old timelines and everything, and my old low stock numbers. But yeah, it's the best you could do is like 2.5 months, and the price is almost doubled. So I don't know what we're going to do in the future, whether we're just going to alter the prices to suit what the current Australian supply is costing us, or might go invest in my own machinery. I've got enough bits now, I'll probably keep a CNC busy for half the year, or at least like 2 Saturdays a month, if I go back working full time. So it's an option that we've got, but I won't make a decision on that just yet. We'll see what happens in the first quarter of the year and make a call on it, I guess. And then it's probably the only other weird thing is, this is one of my hens, Ryland. She's my guard hen. And you going, Riley? So what's been happening with Ryland? You don't like the light. Turn the light off. So what's been happening with Riley is you've been fighting, haven't you? I know. Let's show everybody. Turn around, show everybody. What's been going on here, Riley? Show everybody. Got some wounds, have you? Did you sort them out though? Oh, I think so. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully brings you a bit more up to date what's going on. So 31, I pretty much prototyped all the front stuff. Moving on to the rear, you've probably seen that I've already prototyped some of the rear, and then Just got to do the turbo kit, put an ECU in it, and she's good to go. This thing, got to finish the back arms, do up some upper control arms, get a new box for it. This box is actually toast. I only bought it to mock up. Put a tail shaft, get the whole car rewired because I'm putting a race harness in it, and get the engine harness rewired, and then fuel lines, power steering lines, cooler, run the exhaust to the back, and she's good to go. And then I guess we'll make a call on this thing. So if I find some money, 20B NA. If I don't, it'll probably be 13B NA. Not unless I do something weird like put a K20 or K24 in it. But I don't know, we'll see. I want to put a K in something. Been thinking about, other than the fact I've got two RB30s, so I've got 3026 and a 3025 kicking around, which I was always earmarked to go into this thing. I don't think I'll put a K in this, but not unless I can find a cheap S chassis shell, which due to COVID, non-existent. What do they want now? Like $9,000 or something for an S chassis cell. But anyway, we'll see what happens after the first quarter. See if the prices come down or not. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video and see what's going on. Obviously there's some new parts if you want to check them out on the store, but I'll endeavour to do some update videos separately for these in more detail, and then I'll catch you around. Cheers.